Hi students, I want to live up to my word and do some video lectures for you. So this is going to be the first video lecture, alright, covering chapter 1. We're just going to jump right into it. Now keep in mind also, you are welcome to send me topics that you would like me to do a video lecture on for you. Anything that you need more information on, you need more explanation of, you need some examples, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. Alright, so let's just jump right in it. So we start by talking about business now. Alright, so business now is changing. Alright, change is constant, change is always happening. I always say that it's the one thing you can count on is change. Alright, so change is the only consistent factor that you can think of when it comes to the business world. It's kind of a contradiction, but it's a positive contradiction because change is constant, change is always happening, okay? And the good thing about change is that you always get an opportunity to learn from either your past mistakes or grow forward, okay? So that's important to think about. Your head being in the clouds. This section talks about now in business how it's really important to understand that not necessarily your head is being in the clouds, but there's a lot of things that you need to pay attention to inside the business world. All right, and then also food that lasts forever. So the food that lasts forever section goes over things like processed things that manufacturers make that can sustain years and years and years being either canned or bagged or something like that. So I kind of equate it to something like this. Food that lasts forever isn't necessarily good for you in retrospect, all right? The fresher the ideas that a business has, the better. The better they're going to have against their competitors, the better for the sustainability, the better for their product development. It's just going to be better overall. So if you think of that section like an idea of what is good for you right now and what is good for you later, it's the same processes for business. Okay. All right. High status stress. So we all know the higher you grow on the totem pole of employment or career status, more than likely the higher your stress is going to be, because the more you're going to be responsible for, the more people you're going to be employing, the more product you're going to be pushing through. Quality development is really important when it comes to high stress jobs. But it also goes back to understanding that what you want to do needs to be a depiction of who you are. Now, it doesn't always work like that in the business world. I'm going to give you the practical and the tactical, and I think those need to go hand in hand. But if that's what you're striving for, if you're striving to work on Wall Street, then understand that with working on Wall Street comes the likelihood of some stress, versus a local position or managerial position working either for a mom and pop store, a company that may not necessarily be a Fortune 500 but is just as successful. So that's what that section is really talking about. All right. I wanted to go over some items that I thought were really important just to know. So the difference between a non-profit organization and a not-for-profit organization. Okay, we know a profit organization is for-profit, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, because there are some for-profit organizations that may be formed to conduct any number of lawful business activities. So that could, I mean, that's a whole other topic we can get into. I could teach a whole lecture just on profit or for-profits. Okay, so non-profit organizations, also called NPOs, they are organizations that use the surplus revenues to figure out and achieve its purpose or mission rather than disrupting the surplus of income for the organization's directors. All right, and then the not-for-profit organization is a type of organization that does not earn profits for its own owners. Okay, all the money of the earned monies are donated to a non-for-profit organization and is used to pursuing the organization's overall objectives. Okay, so that's the difference between a nonprofit organization and a not-for-profit organization. I wanted to make sure I outlined that. All right. We go into the different industries like the industrial revolution industry, the entrepreneurship era. Forgive me, I said industry and I meant era. The production era, the marketing era, and the relationship eras. And those, if you go through those items, they're pretty much self-explanatory, but if you need additional information on a certain era, let me know and I'll get into that because I want to make sure that this video is hopefully less than 9 minutes. That's my goal. All right, so factors of production, the basic building blocks, okay? The factors of production, 4 fundamental resources that go over the combination of factors that help the economic system, all right? Now, the 4 factors, they're explained, but it's simplistic in nature, but they can go on forever. So the first one is natural resources, all right? So if you're an organization and you are producing paper, okay, your natural resource you're going to be using to produce that paper is trees, okay, or some kind of plant-based item to create that, all right? The second fundamental resource is capital. So you're going to need some money. You need money to start a business, all right? And there's organizations that can help you if you do want to start a business, like the Small Business Administration or different organizations that are federally based, okay? So you need capital. You got to have some money to grow money, all right? You need money to make money, all right? The third is human resources. Now, this one is near and dear to my heart because my background is human resources and business. I love HR, and I think every single organization, whether you are a sole proprietary or a large company, even working for yourself, you need some kind of understanding of human resources, or you need the ability to not necessarily, do all the human resources activities, but you do need an idea of how employee relations work, policies and development, federal items, state items, all these different factors that play into human resources. So human resources is really a large part. That's why it's one of the main 4. It's a huge part of business, okay? Not to mention the intellectual capital and the capital value you have in your employees. So those are really important. Training programs, all those types of things roll into human resources. All right, and then the 4th is the entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurs, are people who take the risk of launching and operating their own businesses. That is the key phrase of an entrepreneur, okay? So like I said, those were the 4 factors, 4 basic building blocks of production. They were natural resources, capital, human resources, and entrepreneurship. All right, moving on to the workforce advantage. So the workforce advantage section is really interesting because there's a tether in there that says speed to market. So speed to market is the rate at which a new product moves from conception to commercialization. Now, that also depends on your competitors. So as a businesses are constantly going out and, looking at competitors' public papers and, the products that they're doing. That's why often you need to trademark and patent items so that way competitors don't steal your idea and then pass it off their own, and then you have no control over the fact that, you know, they're making the revenue on a product that was originally your idea. So that's really important to think about. But businesses are constantly looking at competitors all the time, and it's important to understand that competitive edge is good. It's really good, but not at the expense of the product and employees. Okay. All right, so we have it talks about the World Wide Web, which is www. So World Wide Web and e-commerce. So e-commerce is huge right now, huge, huge, huge. And for many reasons, because we are shopping online, we're chatting online, we're interacting online, we're posting online articles, we're reading, you know, online items, and, you know, as far as purchasing, sales, and then cyber credibility to make sure that your money is safe while you're shopping. These are all things that businesses have to think about. So I don't know if you remember, there was a couple of months back where some businesses had their e-commerce hacked, and that was, you know, something that was brought up to their attention that now they have been able to safe haven and hopefully fix. So that's all a part of e-commerce as well. All right. Okay, aging population. I wanted to talk about this section particularly because the workforce is changing. The workforce is changing. It's one thing that I always tell my in-class students and students that visit me and people that I mentor and internships and everything. The workforce is constantly changing, and that includes the age demographic of the workforce. So now we have an influx of new workers with new ideas, new ways of doing things, new methods, new theories, new all these things. And it's great because new is good, but new also needs to be quality managed. Okay, so the aging population, the technology phase with the aging population doesn't necessarily equate to how that particular generation functions versus this new generation is completely comfortable with technology. We're having an online class. You're viewing this video via YouTube and live streaming it from, you know, your computer or your phone or your iPad or any other device that you may be able to download the YouTube app on. So this is just an active way of showing how technology is furthering, advancing our ability to change with the workforce. All right. Okay, so at the end of the chapter, there's some study tools that I want you to look at, which is really good. They're also embedded inside the course as well. If you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, please contact me either via email, you can call me, or you can stop by my office. All right, so that was chapter 1, and I am going to be here for you and your success. All right, have a wonderful day.